Today we're gonna share with you the top tips for an extremely good LinkedIn profile. And for this one, I have invited a dear friend of mine and an ex-employee of LinkedIn to share her experience. So if you're interested, stay tuned.
Lost it.
We're gonna cut that out, don't we? What is going on, guys? My name is Z and this is Fearless Dreams, where we talk about personal and professional development. And in the following series that start with this video today, we're focusing on professional development. And we're starting with having an amazing LinkedIn profile. For this one, I have invited Radi. She's an ex-employee of LinkedIn and also Airbnb and so on. And even she's willing to do a completely free review of your LinkedIn profile. All you have to do is to just comment below and get in touch with her. I'll probably also leave her contact somewhere around here. And you'll get the free review of your profile. So without further ado, I'll let her present herself and then we're gonna start with the tips for a great LinkedIn profile.
Hey everyone, pleasure to be here, Z. Thank you so much for the invite. What I would love to share with you today are some valuable tips and tricks, and I'm sure you know a lot about LinkedIn. However, you've never heard it from a former recruiter.
Yeah.
So, few things about me. I'm a psychologist, I'm a recruitment professional. I've worked in Ireland, America, and Singapore, and in Bulgaria, of course. And in the past years, I've been part of LinkedIn and Airbnb as their global recruiter. But most recently, I decided to open my own advisory. So I'm working with talented individuals abroad and with organizations that want to scale their talent teams. So I'm providing a lot of career tips, a lot of LinkedIn advisory, a lot of relocation tips, and so on.
Nice. So you're quitting the 9 to 5 and you're opening your own thing.
No more corporate life for Radi.
Great. That's great. So let's get right into the topic.
Sure thing.
We almost everybody have a LinkedIn profile.
Fingers crossed, you need that.
Yeah, if you don't, create a LinkedIn profile. And so you're a recruiter, you're looking for someone that fits your company, the profile, the position, and so on. So what is the first thing that you see and you're like, okay, this is the first impression of a person?
Yeah, absolutely number one, profile photo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first thing I'm interested in, and I think it's something like human nature. You want to see another human being. Ideally, they should have a smile on your face. So number one tip, make sure you have a smile on your face. It's just, as a psychologist, I feel it's really nice to see a professionally done photo. It could be literally with an iPhone on a white background, but as long as you look comfortable in your skin with nice professional clothes, put a smile on your face, no other people, no dark shades, no dark backgrounds, you should be absolutely fine. And that's the first thing that makes impression.
I think I'm failing on the first one. Okay, let's do this. Let's do a live review of a profile.
Cool.
Because I think it will be a very great example for everybody out there.
Yeah.
And we can go through the steps and first thing is the photo, but also I'm pretty sure that all the other things on a profile are important. So let's, for this example, we just open my profile.
Surprise, surprise!
Yeah. I have a LinkedIn profile, yeah. And I admit it, my photo is a little bit outdated, but it has been done professionally and I'm kind of professionally dressed up.
Yep.
But it's not like a background with white in a studio and so on. And yeah, just quickly, what do you think about that?
In all honesty, I think it really emanates confidence. It's professionally done, I can tell. You don't necessarily need the perfect white background. As long as you're well visible, as long as your face or your body position is visible and it's well done, I think you're absolutely fine. You can choose whether it's black and white or colorful photo. I genuinely don't mind, but when I see your profile photo, I'm thinking, that's a boss.
Okay, that's a boss. Okay, so then the next thing that you probably see and at least makes impression on me as also a person who is hiring people as a hiring manager is probably the photo or the background photo. Do you take any notice of this?
To be honest, I feel you should personalize it. That is your professional profile. If you're a company owner, absolutely put the logo of your brand behind you. But if it's something related to your creativity or you want to just showcase who you are, absolutely customize it, use it. There's some suggestions provided by LinkedIn, or you can upload a photo of your choice.
Okay, great. Because I've been thinking about this, and sometimes it's some people are creative, they want to go crazy, but your job position is not kind of representative of the photo. So I was always thinking, like, should it go like my own way?
I get you. I get you. Well, it really depends on what kind of industry you operate in, what kind of flexibility you have. But in the end of the day, you should put a part of yourself as a professional and as a person as well.
Okay, great. So let's go on. I'm guessing the summary and everything you see right away, like the name below the position or whatever the person types in, right?
Yep, the title, yeah.
Yeah, but so where do you start the profile review and experience review and so on right after the photo?
Yeah, that's a good question. And bear in mind, recruiters' time is incredibly limited. So we don't have, half an hour to scroll through people's profiles. We need literally a few seconds. And if you impress me, if there is something eye-catchy, whether it's visuals, whether it's the right keywords, the right information about you, strong recommendations, a lot of contacts in your network, I see engagement. So that's the first thing. That's the first match. But then you're absolutely right. I see, of course, the profile photo, name, title, location. And then the next thing is obviously the summary, because that's your time to shine. That's your opportunity to share your skills, your expertise, but also what you're looking for in the future. So it's really good opportunity to use literally 2 or 3 paragraphs, not more. It shouldn't be like an essay, but something nice that reflects your professional background.
Okay, so in my case, I've done it in bullets. Is there like a preference for you? As you said, you don't have a lot.
I love bullets.
You love bullets?
I love bullet points.
Okay.
See, it's easy to read that, If it's an essay form, it's a free text, it's okay. I mean, it's absolutely fine as long as you feel comfortable with it. But what I love about the bullet points is that it's much more structured. It's very well written in the sense of you have keywords, you have specific skills, you have specific achievements. That's it. So it's crispy clear. If I can use that word.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. And here's my first kind of in-depth question. So I'm constructing my profile, I'm looking at my summary, and I'm writing it, and I'm like, okay, I have 4 or 5 or 10 things I want to highlight, and I'm not sure what kind of role I'm looking to go next.
Yeah.
So which parts exactly should I highlight? My strongest suits or something that I would just improve in the future that I want to say for a position of, let's say, marketing manager, this skill that I have is helpful, so I'm going to highlight it for that specific position.
Right. Again, it's important to clarify what is the purpose of the summary. The purpose is something that you have already achieved, something that you already possess, whether it's a skill or competency, a specific certificate or education or experience abroad. It reflects your past. It reflects your present, so you can share, let's say I'm a professional with 9+ years of experience in recruitment, But to your question, when it comes to choosing a career path, I would suggest talk about what you're passionate about. Talk about the skills that you would like to develop further in the future. However, bear in mind that you can't be the jack of all trades either.
Right.
So finding the balance takes time. I wouldn't say there is a one only tip to make an incredible summary. It really depends, and it evolves over time. Now you're thinking one thing. In 6 months, you might have additional certification and things might shift into a specific direction. As you said, marketing manager. So think about what you have already achieved that you can put there, and think about the potential skills that you would like to develop further. So you can say, I would like to gain more exposure to XYZ. So that's absolutely fine.
Okay, great. So let's move into the meat, I guess, where you would determine if a candidate is suitable for a position.
Yep.
And I hope this is the experience, the related experience. And here, I've personally changed the structure several times through the years, sometimes through several months, depending if I'm looking for a job or not. What works best for the recruiter that is looking for someone that fits?
Right. Well, when it comes to job titles, we all know that titles vary from one organization to another. So an account manager in one company might mean completely different in another structure. So I'd say in a cover letter or in a resume, you can use the exact title that was on your contract. However, on LinkedIn, you have a bit more opportunity to be flexible, more freedom when it comes to adding a bit more information, whether it's presentations, videos, or something that you have done. Yes, of course, that is important piece to, to make sure that it's relevant to what you have done, not to create stuff. We're not asking anyone to lie here, no, because
don't lie.
Because a recruiter that knows what they're looking for, or what type of organization they're looking for, they would catch you sooner or later. So
right.
I'm not asking you to change completely entirely the structure of your job. I'm saying you can basically share in the details some achievements, some projects that you worked on. You can shift that to serve a purpose. But I'd say stick to something that you feel comfortable, and when people are asking you questions, you can justify it.
Okay. So I've tried the two approaches. So one is just give like a brief summary of what I'm doing and then use the bullets also. I'm not sure which suits me personally best, but I've gone with the, let's say, short summary instead of the bullets. And previously you mentioned that you prefer bullets. Do you think this will make a recruiter kind of go through my experience easily?
I'd say you need to put yourself into the shoes of the recruiter or the hiring manager, because both are checking your LinkedIn profile. If you're interviewing for a job, for example, or if you're referred for an opportunity. So think about what is easily readable. What is something that will allow the person in literally a few seconds to understand what exactly you have been doing. So that's why I prefer bullet points, because it's much easier way to structure your responsibilities. If the company is yours, if you want to present your brand, you can use a bit longer text. But bear in mind that longer than 3 sentences, people lose interest. And that's a fact. Like, you need to know that.
I heard that recruiters, and probably I'm also included in that,
You're not a recruiter.
Well, I'm not, but I've done some recruitment myself. But do you really spend like 7 to 10 seconds on a CV and on a LinkedIn profile?
10 seconds, you're lucky.
Oh,
Yep. That's the reality. I mean, it's a lot of the times we're talking about volume work. And if a recruiter is looking for specific skills, and we're going to talk about the skills next, then they would scroll through your profile, and that will take them 5-7 seconds. If, let's say, they're looking for senior professional and you have a lot of recommendations and a lot of skills and languages, for example, they might spend more than 10 seconds. But ideally, you should think, oh God, okay, I have 1 to 10. Make sure that's a good job.
Wow. And before I ask you about the skills, because for me that was always confusing, I just want to add that make sure that your LinkedIn profile and your resume are actually the same thing. Don't have completely different positions and experience on your resume than you have in your LinkedIn profile, because this sounds, let's say, suspicious. And
True that.
You might get refusal just on the screening of your resume and your LinkedIn profile, because I'm pretty sure recruiters check both right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so about skills, you mentioned something that is very interesting for me, the skills. And on LinkedIn, this is usually at the bottom. And it's also graded by other people, so other LinkedIn contacts. And I've always been like, is anyone looking at this?
Yeah, and that's a valid question, because most recently the endorsements are becoming kind of a way to get someone's attention, to endorse them for a skill. What I would say is yes, recruiters do look for skills. And they are part of the advanced search. When a recruiter is looking for a specific role, let's say recruitment manager, they will put words that are relevant to recruitment. So it could be talent acquisition, it could be sourcing, selecting, it could be hiring managers, it could be account management, it could be a variety of stuff. So the more relevant skills you have to your own type of profession, the better it will be for you, because you will rank higher in the search of a recruiter.
Oh, so this is also like it acts as a search engine.
Totally. Yes, absolutely. Especially if, let's say, they're looking for specific certifications. Let's say in the marketing field, that could be Salesforce, Marketo, HubSpot. So these are particular platforms that people are using in this space. So if you have that in your skills, yes, definitely they will be able to find you. But think about the top 10 to 15 skills that are really relevant to your background. If someone endorses you for, I don't know, Chinese, and you don't speak Chinese, remove that, delete it. Make sure that you choose quality over quantity.
Okay, so my, again, in-depth question on the subject. So you're searching, you're typing in your keywords and skills that you're looking for, but let's say I am a Java programmer, but I haven't put it as a skill. But I have it in my role or somewhere, like a certificate that I have or a course. Will that show up in the search?
Totally. Yes, because the search is based on the entire page of the person.
Okay.
Obviously, the skills are the area that you can use specifically for that. That's its purpose. But if you have put it in your job title or in the explanation of the job description or in the summary, that's absolutely fine, because it is going to appear.
Okay, great. And my next question, switching gears a little bit, going back to education.
Yeah.
I'm personally, let's say, more than 30 years old already.
Me too.
This means that it's been around 5 to 10 years since I started and graduated university.
Yeah.
Are you looking into this when you're looking for more experienced professionals?
To be completely honest, sometimes yes.
Okay.
It really depends on the seniority of the role, and there is logical explanation for that. I mean, you want to understand, of course, the maturity, and when it comes to the professional background, that's the most important thing. No one is asking about age, no one is looking at that. But I obviously want to understand where you have studied, what have you studied, if you have been a class representative or any kind of extracurriculum activities, that's important. I wouldn't judge a person based on when they've graduated. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. I'll definitely see when, because in the end of the day, it is important to see whether the person has really graduated, whether they have obtained this degree, because they might put, let's say, 2 years, but we all know that you cannot complete, well, unless you're super smart, I don't know, you cannot complete, let's say, a bachelor degree in Bulgaria within 2 years, you know?
Right.
So I do look at the dates purely to verify, and then I'm checking in the cover letter or the resume if the dates are the same.
Okay, so you do the math on the years.
Yes. From that point of view, yeah. But we're not talking about any kind of disqualification if the person is junior but very smart.
I have so many questions, but let's try to be focused. For all the people out there that don't have that much experience, and probably university degree is something that will be key for a person that, first of all, is applying for a job, but also as a recruiter that's looking for someone. So for the people without many roles in the past and great experience and so on and so on, how to highlight the university stuff?
And that's important, because LinkedIn is not only a platform where you can upload your online CV and that's it. You know, you wait and see if someone reacts on it. No, that's not the case. Actually, the youngest member of LinkedIn is 15. So obviously this person or these people haven't graduated yet. They're still in high school.
Wow.
So you can imagine they don't have huge amount of information to put on their profile, but they might have been captains in a sports team, or they might be actively involved in sports. I see that you've done that, so that's impressive. Then you have been part of different groups or communities, or let's say Toastmasters clubs or anything like that. So you can put a lot of information about variety of initiatives that you have been part of. You can put different YouTube videos. If let's say you were a vlogger or amateur blogger or something.
Oh.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I mean, any kind of projects, activities. People think it has to be, purely professional, corporate in a box. No, there's so many creative people there. Whether you are a doctor, an educational specialist, a lawyer, engineer, there is way to utilize LinkedIn so that you gain benefit out of that. So if you don't have any professional experience, it's only your education. Think about the different subjects you've studied. Think about stuff that were interesting to you. Think about everything that is outside of the normal structure day to day. You can, let's say you have volunteering experience, or you're passionate about a cause, you have specific interests. Put that there. That's absolutely fine. Yeah.
That's great. And actually, I can share some personal experience on this, because I got hired on one of the roles that wasn't at all requiring to speak Greek. But the recruiter that was looking for a person in LinkedIn, so doing the search and everything we talked about. And after, on a later stage, I talked with her. I'm like, what triggered you to write me on LinkedIn? Why did you like my profile for this position? And she was like, you had the experience and blah, 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 but you also spoke Greek and you've lived in Greece. And, I kind of felt touched, because I like Greece and I like visiting. And I'm like, wow, this totally random fact, but it kind of triggers the recruiter.
That's a super cool fact. I have heard different stories, and to be honest, I found my role at LinkedIn through LinkedIn.
Okay.
Without even considering that I would ever work in the biggest professional network worldwide. But in your case, I mean, sometimes people are looking for the extra mile. What I mean by that is, yes, you have your professional experience, you have your education, they can tick the box, but let's say some extra stuff that you have done, projects or languages that could be added value. You never know where you might hit home, as they said. I would say always use the hobbies, the interests, the additional certificates, the volunteering experience, the projects, because yes, as a recruiter, I want to find the best match. Absolutely. There is no such thing as perfect or ideal, but I want to find the best possible match. But I'm also going to work with this person. So I want to know who they are as individuals. So similar to what the lady said to you, that she connected, she felt that she can work with this person. You want to see that. You want to make sure that you're hiring an individual that would impact the team in a positive way, Right. So it's a great opportunity to leverage your LinkedIn and your network to showcase who you are.
Great. So if we could just summarize this section, because it was huge, actually. This was deep
Hope
stuff.
It was helpful.
Yeah, for me, definitely. If you have experience or if you don't have experience, it doesn't matter. Use your LinkedIn profile as a summary of yourself and use it to showcase what you have as skills, not only education work, but also personal skills, personal interests, and you never know, just spice it up. Leave your mark on your LinkedIn profile.
Totally. I couldn't have said it better. I think that's the secret sauce to leveraging your LinkedIn profile.
Great. So going a little bit further down on the profile, and I see that they keep the recommendations in the structure of LinkedIn quite low. Does this mean that for recruiters and for people at LinkedIn, recommendations don't really count? Or you're like, I will anyway get to them because they're very super important, so I don't need to put them on top?
I can share from my experience personally, and I've hired for a variety of roles. So it's not the case that I'm hiring for customer support only or sales or marketing only. I've hired for probably everything that you can possibly think of, from technical to non-technical roles. For me, yes, you're absolutely right. The recommendations are lower on your page in comparison to the professional experience and the education, because there is the kind of thought process that obviously as a professional you be maximizing your presence through the first two. But for me, recommendations are super, super key. And I'll tell you why. Because unlike when you're leaving a company and you ask for a written recommendation, which you still have to do, that's definitely an important part. But you get the chance to ask for reference from someone that you've worked with closely. It could be a former colleague, it could be a mentor, it could be a lecturer. If you're coming straight from university, you don't have to be, having a professional contact necessarily. As long as this person can share few good stuff about you, why they've enjoyed working with you, partnering with you, I find that as what I mentioned earlier, this extra mile, because people are so incredibly different, and this is completely subjective. This is based on their experience at this moment in time within this capacity or organization.
Okay.
But it's supportive to your application. Let's say if you apply for a role, I would love to read the recommendations you have received, but sometimes the one that you have given as well.
Really? You can read those too?
Absolutely.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I think I have a few. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they sound nice.
5 recommendations and you've given 9. I mean, that's incredibly important. In the end of the day, LinkedIn is created to support connecting professionals worldwide. That was the main idea when it was established. So the fact that you have received recommendations speaks about your credibility, about who you are as a professional, what's your attitude. So I want to get this additional feedback. For me, that's important because I can share this information with the hiring team and say, listen, you've been looking for X amount of time for a person that will bring this skill to the table. This individual must have it because they have been endorsed, they have received a recommendation for it. Let's check on the interview process.
Okay. And you've talked quite often about LinkedIn being a professional kind of environment and a social place. And we've discussed already quite a few key points on the profiles, but we've been focusing on the, let's say, looking for a job or looking for something as in LinkedIn profiles. And let's just stick to this before we move to the social part, because for me it's very interesting. From all the points that we discussed, can you kind of weight on it? Like, what is the most important? What is next for you? Can you kind of put weights on different parts?
It wouldn't be fair, to be honest. Yes, in an ideal world, the first thing that I would consider as a strong information would be the professional experience. However, I wouldn't put a specific weight or value on the separate boxes, because in the end of the day, I want to have a holistic approach.
Okay.
And I believe a lot of the corporate recruiters or even the recruitment agencies have this mindset that a person is not just 5 years of experience. A person is a combination of everything they have achieved in their life, their education, the certificates that they've obtained, the way even they speak about themselves in the summary. And one thing that I forgot, but it's incredibly crucial, please, please, please do not ever speak about yourself from third person. Yeah, do not ever say Radina is doing XYZ, because this is your profile. I mean, in the end of the day, you want to showcase your professional brand. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to be fair. In the end of the day, I want to give people a chance, but I want to take into consideration the bigger picture.
After a small commercial break now.
Commercial break. We'll be back after the commercial.
If we had any advertisers.
Which makes a good point.
Yeah, it makes a good
Advertise with us.
point. Okay. I want to ask you something very important concerning our generation, and I've been also guilty of it. And you probably see a lot of people recently changing a lot of jobs, spending, let's say, year and a half on each of the jobs. And, I've been taught that this is considered job hopping, but it's kind of normal, I guess, these days. What is your opinion on this, and where do you see the border of this becoming an issue as a job hopping?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a bit of a stigma for the millennials,
Okay.
which is our generation. If you ask a baby boomer, they would say, "Oh God, these youngsters, they're changing all the time. They don't know what they want." But actually, when it comes to specifics, there are a lot of countries that are having 1 year contracts. For example, in the Netherlands, it's completely normal to have a job for just a year and then you normally change. For me, I'd say yes, it is important the tenure. Of course, I would look at how long the person has stayed in the previous job. However, I wouldn't hold that against them because knowing from my own experience, and I know things happen for a reason, that you are not at the right time with the right organization, and this stuff happens. So yes, there is a bit of a when they see a profile that has a lot of job hopping, but when you have the opportunity to speak with the people, it could be various reasons that are completely adequate. I mean, if all of your career, let's say you have 6 years of experience and you've changed jobs every 6-8 months, that'll be a red flag because that shows a tendency, and you can't provide valid excuses for each and every time you change a job. But if it's a year and a half, then you moved country or something else happens, yes, then there is a logic behind that. I wouldn't hold that against people.
Okay, great. And final question concerning LinkedIn profile and making us look good online, let's say. Do you cross-check with resume, LinkedIn profile, and then other social media profiles like Facebook, for example?
Ooh, that's a very hot topic because whenever I speak with hiring managers, they're saying, I'm actually checking the person not only on LinkedIn, but I'm checking them on Facebook and even Instagram. So one thing that I would say from purely recruitment standpoint is make sure all of your settings are private. Everything is private when it comes to the other social media platforms that are more for personal use. So let's say the likes of Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, etc. Because first of all, these are completely different social platforms. And second of all, you don't want your future employer or your future colleagues to have access to certain information that is visible for your family and friends. So I wouldn't say I am checking each and every person on Facebook because that wouldn't be fair. But I'd say just make sure you're cautious. What is your professional brand and what is your personal brand could be two different things, or you might just want to know where the boundary is. One thing that I would advise to everyone is just Google yourself. Google your name. Well, if your name is, John Smith or something that is quite popular, you might have difficulties identifying who you are. But I do that occasionally just to see, because people tag you in photos. There might be photos from different events that you have been to, and you just want to make sure you keep a very cohesive, very comprehensive image, particularly on LinkedIn. I think that's much easier to do, but when it comes to the other social media, you have to be slightly more cautious.
Okay, cool. And going back to the social side of LinkedIn, you mentioned a lot about getting in touch with people and so on and so on. Tell us how you use LinkedIn except for job searching, and how has it affected your life?
Yeah. Well, I'm probably one of the early adopters of LinkedIn because of my role, because of the role of a recruiter. However, I've seen the evolution of this platform, and to be honest with you, it's much bigger than just a job board, an online CV, or a tool to get your colleagues together, or just to get in touch with people that you admire or follow organizations. It's a community. It's communication tool. It's building bridges between people in one side of the world and another. I've heard stories of individuals finding their co-founders to build an organization through LinkedIn, through recommendations. I've seen multiple people finding their dream job. Yes, of course, I'm talking about jobs because in the end of the day, that's probably on the top of the chain. But I've seen people finding opportunity to interact, to share, to build client base. That's why LinkedIn does have not only the B2C side, but B2B solutions as well. So I would always advise, figure out how you can maximize your presence on each and every platform. Particularly LinkedIn is created for professional interaction. So think about groups, think about following particular trends, industry information. This is marketing intel. In the end of the day, information is everywhere nowadays. You can just type stuff on Google and you think you know it all. But LinkedIn is actually the news feed that as you spend time on it, you can really find dividends from it. You can find individuals, you can find information, you can find trends, and you can really build your own presentation and presence.
Okay, that is great. I personally haven't really used LinkedIn that much as a social platform, let's say, but that's great. I think for the people out there, especially maybe with younger businesses that are looking for new markets or new, let's say, know-how, that might be actually a great place to start, because
No doubt, yeah.
if somebody gets in touch with me on Facebook about some work or whatever, that would be kind of weird. But LinkedIn looks like the place where everything like this can happen.
It's easier. It's more user friendly. It really allows sending, let's say, a personalized email, or even if you're a student or a graduate or a person considering specific graduate program, you can find people, alumni from this organization, and you can ask them questions. Are they impressed with the level of education they got? Again, these are very different examples I can give about leveraging the platform.
Right. Great. I think this is the point where we have to end this video before everyone has fallen asleep. And maybe just in retrospective, just to put everything as a short summary.
Yeah.
Okay, you can use LinkedIn as work-related stuff, like looking for a job, or if you're a recruiter looking for a candidate or a work partner. Use also the social side of LinkedIn. Make sure that represents you, yourself. Don't ever lie, or not that much. And just make sure that you're putting everything in a well-structured manner where you can see everything clearly. And if somebody, even if it's not a recruiter, opens your profile, could say, okay, these are the points that this person I can relate to,
Yeah.
or I'm looking for in a position, and hopefully you get the best of the best experience.
Fingers crossed.
So thank you, Radi. Thank you again for this conversation.
Thanks.
Let's remember that she will give a completely free LinkedIn profile review for everybody that comments below. You know how it goes. And in the next video with Radi, actually, we're going to talk about phone interviews, because this is also a trend in recruitment in the last years.
Sure.
And they're quite difficult to manage, because you don't have the face, you don't see like the gestures and everything. And it's difficult for a recruiter, but also for the candidate. So that's going to be up next week in this next video. And if you haven't subscribed, of course, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next one.
Cheers,
Ciao.
everyone. Bye.